Hey fight fans, what a wild couple of days it's been in the world of the UFC. If you blinked, you probably missed some massive news because the MMA universe has been on fire. Let's break it all down one headline at a time. Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan rematch for UFC 311. First up, let's talk about the blockbuster announcement that has everyone buzzing. Islam Makhachev is set to defend his lightweight title against Arman Tsarukyan in a highly anticipated rematch at UFC 311. If you're like me, you remember their first fight back in 2019. That was Arman's debut, and the guy gave Islam a serious run for his money. Even though Islam won that bout via decision, it was one of those fights where you immediately knew Tsarukyan wasn't just some guy fast forward to now, and Arman's been climbing the ranks like a man on a mission. The stakes couldn't be higher. Makhachev is coming off a dominant performance in his last defense, and he's been solidifying his claim as the best lightweight in the world. Tsarukyan, on the other hand, has been sharpening his tools, winning fight after fight, and showing he's ready to challenge the king. Stylistically, this is going to be a grappler's delight. Both guys are phenomenal wrestlers, and their striking has evolved a ton since they first fought. Honestly, this one feels like it could go either way, and I'm already counting down the days, plus UFC 311 being at the brand new Intuit Dome in LA adds some extra pizzazz. New venue, huge fight, it's a match made in MMA heaven. The rematch is 4 years in the making, and the anticipation is through the roof. Conor McGregor teases return amid legal trouble. All right, let's move on to the always entertaining Conor McGregor. Love him or hate him, the Notorious is the ultimate wildcard in MMA. Despite his recent legal issues, he was found liable for an assault case from 2018. Conor is still dropping hints about a potential UFC return. And you know what? The sport is just different when he's around. Now, here's the kicker. Dana White, who usually plays coy about McGregor's future, actually gave us a bit of a timeline. He mentioned that Conor might fight again in late 2025.
I saw that you and Conor were both in Sturgis. I'm wondering if you guys met at all and talked about the potential of his fight as well?
We talked, yeah. We talked. We didn't meet up, but we talked. And yeah, he wants to fight, so we'll figure it out.
Who would be the likely opponent? Michael Chandler's name keeps coming up, and honestly, that's a fight I'd pay good money to see. Chandler's an explosive fighter with a never-back-down attitude, and pairing that with Conor's counter-striking? Chef's kiss. But let's not kid ourselves, McGregor's inactivity is a big question mark. He hasn't fought since breaking his leg against Dustin Poirier in 2021. Ring rust, legal distractions, and the fact that he's been more focused on building his whiskey empire than training make this return all the more unpredictable. Still, every time Conor tweets, MMA Twitter goes into a frenzy. Is Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou? Nope, says Dana White now. For a bit of a buzzkill, Dana White has officially shut down any talk of a Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou super fight. I know it's the fight we've all been dreaming about. Two of the most dominant heavyweights ever going head-to-head. It sounds like something straight out of a UFC video game, but Dana has made it crystal clear that it's not happening, largely because Ngannou is now with the PFL. Instead, Jones is gearing up to fight Tom Aspinall, who's the interim heavyweight champ. And let's be real, Aspinall is a beast in his own right. He's got the speed, the grappling, and the fight IQ to make this matchup incredibly interesting. Still, there's something about the what could have been factor with Ngannou that stings. Imagine the power of Ngannou against the technical mastery of Jones. It's one of those mythical matchups we'll probably never get. But hey, at least the heavyweight division isn't lacking excitement. Ian Garry teams up with Charles Oliveira for UFC 310. Ian Garry, remember the name? Because this kid is making waves. The undefeated welterweight is set to face Shavkat Rakhmanov at UFC 310, and he's pulling out all the stops to prepare for this one. How serious is he about this fight? Well, he's enlisted the help of none other than Charles "Du Bronx" Oliveira to corner him. Yeah, you read that right, the former lightweight champ, record-breaking finisher. An all-around legend will be in Gary's corner. This move is brilliant, and here's why Oliveira knows what it takes to win at the highest level, especially against dangerous, well-rounded fighters like Rakhmanov. Shavkat is no joke. He's undefeated too, and has a scary combination of striking and grappling that can end fights in an instant. Having Oliveira's insight and experience could be the X factor Garry needs to keep his unbeaten streak alive. This fight is high stakes, not just for Garry, but for the welterweight division as a whole. A win here could put Ian in line for a title shot against Belal Muhammad in 2025. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Getting past Rakhmanov is no small task. Still, you have to respect Gary's confidence and strategic planning. He's already talking about becoming the next big thing in the UFC. And honestly, the kid's got the skills and charisma to back it up. Shavkat Rakhmanov's vision of the perfect fighter. Speaking of Shavkat Rakhmanov, let's talk about his recent comments that got the MMA community buzzing. Ahead of his fight with Ian Garry, Shavkat shared his vision of the perfect fighter, and it's a list that would make any coach's dream team. He mentioned taking the striking of Ilia Topuria, the grappling of Demian Maia, the chin of Jon Jones, and the cardio of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Honestly, it's hard to argue with his choices. Topuria's striking is clean and precise. Maia's grappling is legendary, and who wouldn't want the iron chin of Jon Jones? As for cardio, well, Khabib was like the Energizer Bunny in the octagon. He just kept going and going. It's fascinating to hear fighters talk about their ideal attributes, and it gives us a glimpse into how they analyze the sport. But let's not forget Shavkat himself is building a pretty impressive resume. He's undefeated for a reason, and he's got the kind of well-rounded game that makes him a nightmare for anyone in the division. His fight with Garry is shaping up to be one of those matchups where the winner could very well be a future champion. If you're not already hyped for this one, you should be. The UFC landscape in flux. When you take a step back and look at all these developments, it's clear the UFC is in a fascinating place right now. The lightweight and welterweight divisions are brimming with talent, and the heavyweight division continues to evolve with fighters like Tom Aspinall stepping into the spotlight. Meanwhile, the return of Conor McGregor, if it happens, could shake things up in ways we can't even predict. What's exciting is that the UFC continues to deliver compelling storylines and matchups. Whether it's the strategic brilliance of fighters like Ian Garry, the raw power of Shavkat Rakhmanov, or the endless drama surrounding Conor McGregor, there's never a dull moment in this sport. And let's not forget the dream matchups we'll probably never see, like Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou, which still linger in the minds of MMA fans everywhere. So, what's the fight you're most hyped for? Is it the Makhachev versus Tsarukyan rematch? Garry versus Rakhmanov? Or maybe you're just waiting to see what kind of fireworks Conor McGregor brings if he ever steps back into the octagon. Whatever it is, one thing's for sure, the next few months are going to be a wild ride.